see a number of friends and colleagues, and it is a real delight to see representatives of the Queen's community and beyond. And at Queen's we have several departments represented. Thank you all for your presence here. Joining us by video conference are actually individuals in Guelph, in Timmins, in Ottawa. We have representatives of the University of Guelph, of the Rural Secretariat, of remote CFDCs, and there are private individuals joining us as well. In time you will see some of their images on your screens. It's a great pleasure to welcome you today to the second of 5 seminars focused on the creative economy. As Canada deals with economic challenges and as we work together to ensure the prosperity of all regions in Canada, it is with great interest that we turn today to look at rural and semi-urban areas and what the creative economy can hold for these areas. I'd like to introduce our speaker today, Dr. Kevin Stolarik, Research Director of the Martin Prosperity Institute at Rotman School of Management at the University of Toronto. Dr. Stolarik, as you know, many of you know him as the official statistician of the creative class. He is known for his analyses and his indicators and measures with respect to creative class theory. But let me properly introduce Dr. Stolarik. He's held faculty positions at the College of Humanities and Social Sciences and the H. John Heinz III School of Public Policy and Management at Carnegie Mellon University. He's held for over a decade various positions and roles with technology in the insurance industry and with various strategic projects. He brings a lot of experience to us today. He has a PhD in Business Administration, an MBA from the Tepper School of Management, both at Carnegie Mellon University, and he has a BS in Honors in Applied Computer Science from Illinois State University. Kevin's research interests include the relationship between firm performance and information technology and the impacts of technology, tolerance, and talent on regional growth and prosperity. He has, as I mentioned, provided quantitative research and analytical support for Richard Florida's work as he developed his books, The Rise of the Creative Class, The Flight of the Creative Class, and Who's Your City. It was Kevin who developed the updated indicators and measures for the paperback version of that last book, The Rise of the Creative Class. He continues to work on advances associated with the creative economy. You will, I'm sure, find Kevin informative, accessible, and, if he holds true to form, entertaining today. I would ask that you please join me in welcoming Kevin.
Thank you very much, Sean. I thank you for inviting me and for having me be part of this. I'm going to have a hell of a time now on the camera, at least, which helps, but I want to move all over the place, so I started staying still. So I'll apologize to all the people watching from everywhere else. You might see me a little bit every once in a while. So there are tons of slides. The first 40 of which I'll go through in 5 minutes, and then we'll have some fun. But I wanted to do a little bit of background for excited. So I included the abstract, not that I'm going to read it, it was what you got, but I thought it was good to have it with the slides. So I want to spend a little bit of time first just kind of level setting. I know for those of you that were here last month when Betsy presented and talked about kind of creative class and creative theory and what's going on, she hit on a lot of this, but I know there are some new people here, we're picking up people all the time, so it's important to have, there's a few key things to understand when we talk about the creative class and the creative economy. What are we really talking about? And so I wanted to make sure, and why are they important? And then specifically, and what the real purpose of today is to talk about, well, how does this apply in a rural setting? And what are some of the issues and challenges and what's going on with this? And is this something that, as has been accused often, that it's only an urban thing and it's all about, what is it, hipsters, trendoids, and yuppies? Right? Or does it actually apply beyond the hipsters, trendoids, and yuppies to people who don't necessarily drink their lattes with 2 shots of espresso. So, what is a creative class, and why is it important? So, the key thing always to remember is the creative class isn't just artists and musicians, right? When we talk about creativity, we're talking about innovation. What we're really talking about, right, is the work that people are doing. So it's very much based on the idea of a creative class. And it's not class in a hierarchical sense. It's just a group of people who are all doing the same kind of work. The work that they're doing is they're being paid to think. And so you have people who are working on, say, they use the acronym TAPE to remind people, right, it's not just about artists. It's technology workers, scientists, engineers, people doing that kind of work. It is artists and related, right, arts and culture workers, people that are doing arts, musicians, writers, designers. You also have professionals in management, healthcare, legal, business professionals, and educators, right, people working in education. So it's not just about artists, it's about way more than that. And it's a significant portion of the overall economy, which I'll show you in a bit. The other key thing that's important is that we focus on occupations, not on industries. One of the key things is not about creative industry, right? But I talked about is what people do, which is the occupation. And so one of the key elements with this is really understanding and getting to the point of why do we need to understand what people do rather than where they work. And the example I always love to give, it used to be when you met someone kind of for the first time, you told them where you worked. You said, oh, I work at GE, or I'm at the GM plant. Now you tell people what you do. There's been this shift from kind of focusing on exactly where you work, because where you work doesn't matter as much anymore because people change jobs more often, people are doing different things, right? It's a lot more about what you do. And also, the kinds of jobs and the kinds of things that people are doing are very different. So you can be a designer and you can work for any one of 100 of different kinds of firms. One of the Yolande talked about, I have 10 years of experience in the insurance industry, undergrad in computer science. I worked for a large regional insurance company in the States, in Illinois, for over a decade. And the one thing that always drove me crazy was that I worked with a staff of about 250 programmers and technical support people, and I wanted every single one of them to have this little sign made that hung in front of them so that every time they were on the phone, they were forced to see the little sign. And the sign needed to say, "We sell insurance." Because all of these tech people were so busy worrying about the technology, they didn't know what the business was. Right? So, oh no, I support hardware, I write programs, I do this. And it was always one of those, and there's been this shift where people think about their occupation and what they do, and they don't care about so much where they're doing it. And IT is a great example of this, right? If you look at the people who work in IT, you see about half of them, right, actually have an IT occupation, but they don't work in the IT industry. So if we just looked at industry, we'd be missing tons of people who are doing IT work if all we did were look at the industry. And in fact, if you look at it, you get about a quarter of them, right, are people who work in the IT industry but don't really do an IT occupation. Right? There are people who work for Microsoft who package software, who clean the bathrooms, who mow the lawn. Right? These are IT jobs if you count by industry, right? But in fact, they're not really doing that work at all. So, and there's only about a quarter of the total are actually people who work both in an IT industry, in the IT occupation. So we care about occupations because it helps you better understand what people are really doing and what's going on. As we said, right, so for the creative class, it's been growing. Right, so these are the US numbers which I use for convenience. I'll show you Canada in a second. This is shares. Right, the purple line, since you can't read the legend, but the